Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hello, all you kings, queens, and those in between. It's me, Paresh Maharaj again from the Busted Limes podcast, making my grand return to side quests after wowing audiences with my eloquent explanation as to why Bloodborne is awesome. And if that sounded overly grandiose, well, that's because this time around I'm talking about an extremely grandiose game, and I want to keep with the theme. I'm talking about the final chapter in the Nathan Drake saga, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Now, a lot like Bloodborne, I wasn't expecting to like this game as much as I did, and that's because of my feelings on the Uncharted franchise at the time. I'd start with Uncharted 2, which I loved. It was the best possible take on a modern Indiana Jones that you could get. Then I played Uncharted 3 next, which I thought was fine. Not terrible, but fine. Still not sure why they called it Drake's Deception, though. Then I played the first one, Drake's Fortune, next, and the less I talk about that one, the better. Though, I will say Lost Legacy is fun, albeit way too short. And here's the thing. After playing Uncharted 3, I was already starting to grow tired of the franchise's story issues that were becoming apparent. Let me explain. Both Uncharted 2 and 3 follow the same plot points. Drake comes across rumors of a big treasure, so he enlists the help of a friend he made off-screen to help find it. But oh no! Drake's ego is getting in the way and his pursuit for the treasure is hurting people, so he gives up the hunt. But wait! It turns out pursuing the treasure was the right thing to do all along, because the villain is going to use it to take over the world! Blah blah blah, big action scene, villain defeated, treasure is buried so it's no longer a danger, and everyone lives happily ever after. It was getting boring, and I thought that if Naughty Dog didn't learn their lesson for 2 games in a row, then they wouldn't learn it for the 4th game. So when the game came out in 2016, I gave it a hard pass, and not only because I didn't have a PS4 at the time. I would not play it until the free version came out on PSN in 2020, and I would dedicate a mini-sode to it on my own show in which I spend, 6 minutes eating crow. Because this game surpassed the second one as my favorite in the franchise, and Lord knows my co-host Black Belt will never let me live it down. So, what was it that made me do a full 180 on the franchise? Well, for one, it fixes every issue I had with the story. I'll try not to spoil too much, but Drake's travel partner this time around is his brother, who has to track down a treasure in order to repay a drug lord who helped him escape from prison. A simple change like giving Drake a selfless reason to go on his adventure makes a huge difference. This time you at least feel some conflict when Elena gets on to him for doing what he's doing when he's supposed to be a family man. But what did you expect him to do? Just abandon his brother? And that's before we even get to the legitimately great twist, which I won't spoil. And I never ever skip the closing cutscene because it is such a perfect encapsulation of the greatness from small beginnings theme. Secondly, the gameplay is at its most polished. No unnecessarily long desert walks here. The platforming is spot on, the weapons are satisfying, and even the tedious collectibles have gotten a creative spin on them. Like, there's this one part in Madagascar where you have to get one collectible by haggling for it. And the collectibles aren't limited to just tiny trinkets scattered throughout the levels. Now there are journal entries and notes that grant a whole new perspective and give backstory on the environments that you explore. There's nothing like that in the previous games. And that reminds me of another plus with the gameplay: the sheer variety. Yes, there's your standard cover-based shooting and stealth sections, but this time around there are vehicle sections, the puzzles are at their most intricate that they've ever been, and you could finally use a grappling hook. And there's even a pickpocketing segment. And it all comes to a head with a parry-focused sword fight with the final boss. When it comes right down to it, this is the epitome of what Uncharted could be. And it's honestly what makes me hope that, although this is the end of Drake's saga, I hope that it's not the final installment in the franchise. I mean, shit, Lost Legacy was a solid addition. Give me more of that. More Chloe is always good. But for now, this game alone is a justification to play the less good installments, so give the entire franchise a whirl. And if you like what you heard of me here, you could find me on my own show, the Busted Limes podcast, where me and my cousin Black Belt bring a West Indian perspective to all things nerdy, be it anime, comic book movies, even pro wrestling. We're available on all major podcasting platforms, and you can follow us on Twitter at BustedLimesPod. So come on and bust a lime with us, and happy gaming.
Hi, I'm Matt, aka Stormageddon, and I'm the host of CPOV Autographs at certainpov.com. It is a bi-weekly interview series where I interview folks from all over the arts, from writers to comedians to magicians to musicians, even actors, historians, podcasters, pretty much anyone who's willing to chat with me for a little bit. If you like interesting conversations with even more interesting people, go to certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, music is life, and life is good.
CPOV.
CertainPOV.com.